special place in time. Yeah. Maybe when I get back, I can write a book about my travels. About getting out of this sick society. Society, man. Society.
And welcome back to Bottom of the Class Podcast, guys. To my left, I got my boy Matt Rios. Right in front of me, I got Mason Flores.
Not the boy.
And to his right, we got Garret Nall, everybody.
What's up?
I'm Josh Ford. So, how's everybody's days going?
Also, in-house, we got Jacob as well.
What's up, guys? That's the first time I've been included in the intro. So
Doing
shout out to Matt.
Back at house.
Shout out to Jacob. Man, can I just do one thing right now? This is shit.
Probably not, dude. All right, so what were you saying about slavery, Josh?
Listen. I said I'm like a king, right? I just need subjects. I don't know where they got this slavery thing from.
So what?
I don't want slaves. I don't want slaves.
Define
if you
a
want
subject.
Go to class.
Boom,
slam.
I think it's a matter of consent, right?
Boom,
like if they actively want to work for you for free, then maybe it's not slavery.
Well,
so
I think when you subject someone to something, it's a little bit less of their choice.
So
all right, yeah, but whenever you,
what's the difference? What's the difference between a slave and a subject, Josh?
Well, you see, here's what I mean. I should be ruler of something. And when I talk about this, usually it's more necessarily in the video game world. I would never try to conquer real people. It's not me, even though one day I will have my own throne.
I mean, you're trying to get
what they all say,
charged with a crime against humanity at some point, dude.
Absolutely not. But the point is, I'm only here for the people. And I just want the people to recognize that and put me on a pedestal. I want to be put upon a pedestal. I want to be
What
dubbed
do you mean you're
the
here for the
ruler.
people?
I'm here for you, Mason.
What are you doing for your subjects, dude, that makes them so loyal to want to work?
Giving them me, Mason.
This is why Josh
That's what
can't-
R. Kelly did.
No,
R. Kelly did the same
R.
thing.
Kelly did
That's not the
something.
same thing.
That's
not the same
ruining
thing.
me, man. Dude, hey, how long was it? 3 minutes, Jacob? Yeah,
2 minutes and 40 seconds.
2 minutes, 4 seconds from R. Kelly already. There we go, dude.
Y'all killing me with this shit. Oh my gosh.
God, come Day on. of media. We need at least 10 minutes before we get R. Kelly.
Always, man. But he's been pretty quiet. I mean,
Well, good, dude.
dude, I saw that quiet.
Finally.
Was it you, Matt, that retweeted the thing of
Yeah.
him talking? He's like,
Dude,
I got an event. Y'all need to leave me alone.
He was like, I got this event right that I'm coming. He's like smoking a cigar, dude, shirt open, like Mason chilling. And someone called us a dude. Why are you not in jail?
It was incredible. I think
know.
one of the first response to it was like, "Damn, he's going to a prom." Something like that. I was like, no. Awful.
Oh, my God.
Just awful.
We'll never be done with R. Kelly. There's always going to be something. Always, man.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, I don't want to talk about R. Kelly anymore. This will be the last. Make it known, listeners. This will be the last time R. Kelly will get mentioned on this podcast.
Probably not.
I'm not betting on it.
All right.
Yeah, but anyway, Garrett, what's up, man? What's been going on in your neck of the woods in old Den 10?
Oh, dude, not much, man. Just cheap drinks. That's pretty much all that goes on up
Facts.
there. Just good time.
You've graduated?
Yeah, it's been about a year, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a year since I've been out of college, man. What have I got to show for it,
Don't say that. What'd you graduate with?
Kinesiology, which
Nice.
essentially
That's what Ricky
certifies me to be a PE teacher. And I'm not one, so that's where we're at with that. But
Is that what you're trying to be?
no, well, I kind of thought about teaching for a little while, but the main problem is mostly
Not allowed kids. Not allowed around kids.
no. Oh, whoa.
That's a loaded question.
I almost said I love kids, and then you said that, and it's just not a good combo. But no, the school administrators, stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. Dealing with schools doesn't sound like something I'd be good with.
But you
So
know
I
what?
like kids a lot, but
I would want you to be a PE teacher and then actually grade kids. You know how like everyone would get hundreds, 90s, like shit like that. I don't know who got a 90, but
little Johnny can't run a mile in
yeah,
fucking
but
10 minutes.
hey,
Oh, well,
dude.
looks like you're staying another year, bro.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, we got graded in PE. Like me and Jacob did for a little. Oh no, you weren't part of that. Yeah, for 1 year we got graded. Like depending on how we did on our finals, which was our maxes,
This
they
motherfucking
gave us a
narcissist,
grade.
dude. Anyway, Garrett, dude, what would you do?
It's true.
No, the quickest mile gets 100, and then anyone below that, you just get docked.
Was that
Oh,
Coach
that's fair.
Harper?
That's
Was that
fair.
Coach
Yeah.
Harper?
That was Coach Harper.
That
Those are the
sounds
Harper
like
days.
Coach
Sounds
Harper
terrible.
days.
But no, man, I think doing it for the kids would be what would get me in there, honestly. But yeah, just dealing with adults, I'm not very good with, especially in the situation where kids are involved too. Because I've already taught before, and that was just hockey lessons and stuff like that.
That's
So,
right.
yeah,
You
it
do
was-
play hockey as well, which y'all went to a championship, right?
well, yeah, I just for men's league, I just went and played a championship. My senior year at UNT though, went 1-1-2, so just stacking up the rings, dude. Straight up.
Whoa,
Dude, let's go, dude.
Do you know what I don't get, dude? Is teachers. So school has been around for a long time, dude.
Right?
Growing up, I'm like, man, my fucking teachers suck. If I ever become a teacher, I'm gonna do what they didn't do, you know? But there's still shitty teachers out there, dude. You would think like,
Everywhere.
How can you be a shitty teacher if you spend 12 years plus?
That
growing
is
up in an
true,
environment
dude.
where
That's
there's
very
always,
true.
There's always shitty teachers.
Yeah.
Just learn from those shitty teachers. Don't turn into that shitty teacher.
I feel like it doesn't start like that. Like, I feel like everybody kind of starts similar in the fact that they're just like, wow, I want to teach, I want to give back to kids.
Yeah.
And over time, it's like an issue of losing passion and dealing with reality that, you know, kids are little assholes.
That's so true.
Absolutely.
That's what this chick I work
Not
with.
if you're a good teacher, though. I don't think.
I mean, there are some good students that stick through it, but, like, they are the ones that stuck through it. The ones that gave up on the kids are the ones that are the bad teachers now. Because
Yeah.
they just have no faith in, like, their abilities.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say this chick I work with. She's going to school to be a nurse, and I was like, "Why you want to go to school to be a nurse?" And she was like, "Well, you know, I'm just passionate about taking care of the people and everything." And I was like, "Hey, my mom's been a nurse for like 9 years, and she fucking hates herself right now." So I was like, I don't think that passion's gonna stay there for a while, to be honest.
It's weird that she actually gave that answer because it's almost like you were interviewing her or something. That's an interview answer question. You know what I mean?
The way she answered it made it seem like I was interviewing her.
Yeah, because
yeah.
Hold up the
the only reason anybody wants to be, I would say, I would be willing to bet everything that I own. 90% of people who go into a field like that, they just want to make money, dude. You don't become a doctor because you just fucking love being around sick dudes all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you want
point.
the paycheck.
Fair point.
That's true.
You
but-
don't sit slave away in a courtroom because you love that shit, dude. You
Yeah.
want the paycheck.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if it's necessarily fair to throw a blanket over everybody,
Yeah.
though. You know what I
That's
mean?
why I
Like,
said.
mean,
That's why I said
'Cause
90.
there are-
I did say 90 though.
well,
Did I say
90?
90?
90's
a really high
number.
yield,
That's a
dude.
big
Like,
number.
We could run it
like-
back.
That doesn't exonerate you from just
We could
making
run it back.
statements.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much
Look
blanketing
at this motherfucker,
everybody.
dude. Exonerate, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Works in
Got the,
law.
got the thesaurus. the
Works
weird
in law.
terms.
Works in law for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Exonerate.
dude, I know my law terms, dude. Work at a law firm, you know.
Oh yeah.
What can I say?
But okay, so even despite that, though, as far as teaching goes, with the hockey stuff, like, did you liked it? Of course, I'm sure. But
Yeah, well, what ended up happening with the whole teaching hockey lessons and stuff was actually the people I was working with. That's what I'm saying. Like the kids, like I'll go do that all day, every day. But working with adults, I don't know. At least adults, I think it's adults when it comes to kids, because a lot of people don't like
are you
what you're
talking
saying.
about
like
the kids' parents, or are you talking about
no,
teaching
like
adults?
my coworkers,
Oh,
like
okay.
the people that are also teaching and.
Oh, if
you
you're
know,
to become
people
a
back-
teacher.
Well, both.
Oh,
Like if
okay.
you were a teacher, you know, your administration or whatever. But when I was working at the rink, teaching little kids how to skate and stuff, it's just, I don't know. If you've got a lot of passion about something like that, and other people aren't able to match it that are higher up than you, then it just, I don't know. It gets really frustrating. And it's really easy to just kind of like, I guess,
Like,
you know,
what
get
is-
burnt out on it. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Because it's just.
I guess I never really thought about it, because now that a lot of us have graduated and stuff, there's a lot of people we know that are teachers, like
Yeah.
a lot,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and they look like they're having a good time. Like,
Yeah,
I
no,
know-
and I mean, I'm sure that it's probably a great time. I guess my biggest thing is I've just, you know, with the horror stories of teachers having to compensate for lack of funds with their own money. You know what I mean? In the classroom, just having to go get supplies, basic supplies that people need. You know, I just really what it comes down to is the government. I absolutely do not like the government,
Do you-
and I
do you
don't want to
think-
work for them. So
do you think maybe if the government gave you $1,000 a month, that you'd be able to fund your classroom, dude?
Think about that.
$1,000 a month.
Yeah, if you got
$1,000
$1,000 a month just for being an American citizen and over the age of 18 or 17.
18.
Over
just,
the age of
just
18.
because
18.
is it?
There's no catch.
Um,
Would that help you out, Garrett?
I would take the $5 million over the $20 million. I'll just leave it at that. So I don't want to be depressed.
Oh, this man.
If that's
Oh,
what
no,
we're
Oh
going.
no,
we're
I'm not going there.
No, dude, this is
Don't go back there.
you literally just get $1,000
You
a
get
month just for being alive.
because you're an American citizen and over the age of 18.
Well, if I'm doing
Government's-
that, then I'm just not going to work at all. Are you kidding?
You're
Just
gonna
go
survive
fish.
off 12K.
Yeah, dude.
It's not a bad.
How, dude? How are you doing that? You're
It's a
backpacking,
gravy-
I'm sure.
Gravy
right?
train, dude. Yeah, dude. Backpack everywhere.
Now, next question: do you want to get into a
Spearfish.
political discussion, or you want to leave it at that?
Ooh,
Oh, I'm always game for a political discussion.
bring it on.
Because Andrew Yang, someone who Jacob is a proud supporter of.
Oh, I think I've heard of this guy.
Yes,
He's
he's
a
trying to. If
potential
he gets
candidate, right?
elected, yeah, for the Democratic
UBI, dude.
Party, he has this idea of this concept that he wants to implement called the Universal Basic Income, or his name, the Freedom Dividend.
Which universal basic income is a part of Alaska economy.
Okay,
But
yeah.
they don't get nearly as much, of course.
But so his whole proposal is that what I just told you, American citizens over the age of 18, which equates to about 240 million people, will get a check every month for $1,000. Do you think that would help the economy? Do you think that would? Do you think that you think that's a good thing?
I mean, giving people money is definitely going to help the economy. My concern, though, is where does that money come from? Like, it doesn't just...
what he plans on doing is heavily taxing like the top companies. So like,
Little
But in a
Robin
specific
Hood
field.
action.
huh?
In
The
a
tech
specific field.
companies, right?
Yeah, because his whole his whole basis is around. He's done a lot of like work in the economics of America, and he's seen that the greatest recessions are happening in the areas in America where AI is taking the most jobs, like in the factory
Definitely.
jobs and things like that, where you don't have to pay people. You can pay you can buy a computer and it does double what your average person would.
Absolutely.
So, and he looks those areas of people, the same areas as the highest flip rating of people who went from like Democratic voters to voting for Trump in 2016.
Interesting.
So it shows that these people who are losing their jobs because of this is like what got Trump elected. And so, if in Amazon, for example, they paid $0 in taxes last year. $0. They did not pay a cent to the United States
How do
government.
you know that?
Just
Oh.
I've heard it from I've heard it from it's pretty widely
Quick Google search.
it's pretty widely known. I mean, I could go get a source if you really wanted.
I
to.
mean,
But,
I had never heard that, but I don't really keep up with that stuff, to be totally
Yeah.
honest.
So his proposal is to tax like the big companies, the companies that are using the AI and things like that, who are evading taxes because that's how our system's set up, and using that money, pushing it back into the economy. And it's pretty much like, instead of the government deciding what happens with that money, you hand it back to the people, and they fund the small businesses. They fund the little things that drives the economic engine in America. He wants to just ignite that.
I mean,
not
is
a
this,
bad
It's
idea.
it's a stimulant to the economy, which is a very old ideology. It's not something new. The UBI has been around for a while. It's not necessarily in practice, but the concepts have been around for a long time.
In Alaska, they get, what is it, $2,000 per year?
Yeah, I
per
think
person?
it depends on the oil
Which is not a
industry.
lot, but-
but
Yeah.
isn't that because they need like jobs in Alaska?
No, it's
So like
because
an
the oil
incentive?
industry dominates Alaska so much. They tax the oil industry higher in Alaska and give it back to the community.
Oh
So
wow.
in a way, a monopolizing company,
Right.
Okay, so
or industry, not company. but-
so they're doing that. They're giving these people this money because this oil company is monopolizing Alaska.
just like
I mean, it is the sole economic drive of Alaska. So if
So-
you don't work in oil, you're poor.
So this sounds like if he were to do this in America, then these big tech companies will become an oligopoly, and in order for us to just be like, look over that, we'll just be getting $1,000 checks every month.
It's happening. It's going to happen whether you want it to or not. Not to get
He's
not to get
kinda
super
right, I feel
dystopian,
like.
not to get
No,
super like
mm.
dystopian, but like we can kind of blind to it. But there's going to come a point where computers and robots and everything does everything for us.
Right.
I mean,
That's facts.
I
So we
believe
can
that.
turn a cheek to it or address it before it happens. And I think that's where he is on that. And so it's it almost takes like I don't want to say it's a conspiracy theory, but it almost takes like that frame of mind where you can kind of like not see things super like this, if that makes
but
sense.
in addition to that, I also thought that he was talking a lot about those people that will evidently lose their jobs, right? Another job will come up somewhere, and it's not going to be for that same person. Andrew Yang always talked about truck drivers.
Yeah.
Like you can't, like now with technology boom or whatever is going to come or whatever, you can't necessarily say that those truck drivers will get the tech job or whatever somewhere that is eventually going to open.
Right.
It's going to open a different job, not a truck
A job they're
driving
not qualified for.
Right. So a lot of people propose to him that maybe you take some of that money, train them, but he always brings up the opportunity.
See, that's
like
my-
a 40-year-old truck driver dude is not going to go back to school because he
Right.
obviously didn't love school. Like,
Yeah. My next question. Actually, go ahead, Gary. You were going to say
Well, I think my biggest thing with that is, I mean, yeah, you're giving people money and that's cool. It's going to stimulate the economy, but there's a lot of irresponsible people out there. You know what I mean? And
Sure,
I mean,
yeah.
that's kind of my biggest red flag is like,
Yes.
I mean, what are people they're going to start, drinking more. They're going to spend their money on just excess crap
And
that
that's-
they don't need.
And that's because I've noticed too, like when he tweets this shit, and like I look at like the replies, and it's like the people who are like so on board with it are people like our age who are fucking smoking dope and don't give a shit. And they're like, oh, $1,000 I can afford my Gucci flops now. And you're like, I mean, that's not the point.
And I
of this.
mean,
Yeah.
I think it's, if you like, let's say they set up a system where like you qualify for that, right?
which there are a lot of circumstances where you would not qualify.
Right. But I mean, I think the problem you would run into that, and not that this is necessarily a bad problem because you would be helping a lot of people out, but you are going to have the people who become financially dependent on the government, which I don't think anybody necessarily should want to do. Just because, I mean,
That's
I
rampant
don't know.
now, though. If you think about it, like how much
No,
we pour into
exactly,
welfare.
and that's what
So
I'm
that's-
saying. Like, I think that would only create that problem
So
more so. I don't know.
basically, the UBI is it's an either or for welfare. So if you opt into the $1,000 a month and you get $1,500 a month in welfare money, you don't get now $2,500 a month from the government. You would still get $1,500. The one would come from the 1,000. The 500 other would come from
I got you.
actual welfare money. So it's basically he also, and it would be kind of just a symptom of the UBI, but it would start to pull back on the welfare programs that our government spends like half the income tax they take from American citizens. Half of it goes straight into welfare programs.
See, this is the discussion I've been longing for, dude. I see shit like this all the time, and I'm like, God damn it, like, it's just not gonna work. Like, I try looking into it, and I can't find sources or like shit like that. And then
But,
we finally have this.
I mean,
talk.
the only thing I can really take is when I hear Andrew Yang himself talk from it. I'm not saying it's a good idea or a bad idea. It's something to think about, But the point of what he was just bringing up, like that's what Andrew Yang has talked about as far as the amount of money needed to fund this thing is not as much as you think it's going to be, because the people are already getting, like you said, welfare or Medicaid or whatever the benefit
sure.
is. It's not gonna you don't get that and this thing. You get, like you said, either or.
Right. So just to kind of put actual numbers on it, the income tax in America, like the government receives from American citizens about $4 billion a year from just tax money.
What? Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's it?
Billion or
I can't-
trillion?
I can't
It's
configure
either
big
billion or
numbers.
trillion. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I can't. I think it's billion, but it may be trillion. It probably is trillion. Now I'm thinking about it. So say 4 trillion. 2 trillion goes straight into welfare, and then there's like like 500 billion I think goes right to the military, and then it dissolves from there. Less and
See,
less.
that's I think my biggest thing with anything. If you're talking about government spending, I mean, it's the
Right.
military. Like,
Military
I mean,
funding is
the amount
ridiculous.
of, and that was kind of my point with the whole teaching thing is like, for me, it's hard to feel. I don't. What's the word I want to use? It's hard to feel appreciated, I guess, in that setting when you know that, and nothing against anybody that's in the service, but like the amount of money we spend on our military is kind
And
of
so-
excessive.
So fun fact, that number I just read off, that does not go to like veterans or like things like that.
Well, yeah,
like when they come back,
it's a whole nother
it's
rampant problem.
just like planes, guns, blah 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 blah.
Right.
Like, and so I agree with you that should be pulled back.
Yeah,
And
so-
maybe Jacob, you can pull up the stat. I forget like what official website it's on, but you can actually see like the numbers for the government spending for our military. It's insane.
yeah, relative to
Like,
everything else. It's
yeah.
just like
Second is
absurd.
China, but a long shot. Like, we are at the top by a lot, and it's unreal.
Not to leave the UBI thing also, but because I still want to stay on that, and I do want to talk about that too, but just I feel like it's almost too late for America to like step back on military.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like if a coup of countries could come together, dude, and fuck America up, dude, it would happen.
Absolutely,
I do feel
people
like
hate us, man.
Yeah.
And part of the reason they hate us is, I mean, not to
and I'm
get
sure,
too
and you know what,
fantasized,
you
but
know
it's
what,
like Star
dude.
Wars,
Even
dude.
if they were to do it, they'd be like, damn, most of these people here are dope, but this got to happen.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like would happen.
Why they hate us, Garrett?
Well, I mean,
You're about to
we're
get
in
fans,
everybody's
dude.
country, dude. We're in
Right.
everybody's.
Dude, how many Chinese
the
bases
empire,
are
man.
around here, dude? How many
fucking
like how many foreign country bases like do we have
Like
here?
embassies
Like
and
military.
stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I can't think of any.
no,
yeah.
not even embassies.
Stations.
I just mean like
Just-
just straight up
yeah.
like military base. Like
Yeah, no.
nobody has one.
And we are everywhere, literally just about everywhere. So it's
No.
like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those
But
things.
there has to
Obviously,
be-
I'd like for us to
I
not
feel
spend that
like
much
you all
money.
feel like
but
we can't
you're
step
right.
back now.
If
Do you think there's a reason we're in there though? You can't just be there for no
Dickheads?
reason. I feel like. Do you think we're helping them out in a way?
I think originally the plan was just to help out with like restabilizing countries and helping out with stuff like. But most of the time, we're causing more problems than good.
Absolutely.
And I think that
funding, like what is it like? Civil wars for different places. So this government power leaves.
Yeah.
So it serves our interests better. And
We
the people of that country.
we pick like the side of a country that supports democracy and will fund their war to make sure they win. It's kind of the whole mindset of like, if you go back to like late 50s and 60s and stuff like that, when we were really at arms with Russia and like communism was such a crazy thing. The Red Scare, yeah. And we that's what happened. That's why we fought Vietnam War.
Yep.
That's the exact reason.
Yep.
there was an island that we were doing military testing on, and I forget the name of the
The
island.
Bikini Atoll.
There's
That would
a-
be an atoll, not an island.
Huh?
It would be an atoll, not an island.
But isn't an atoll an island?
Was dude.
Huh?
I thought it was. I thought an atoll was like it's not a volcano or something.
Yeah, I thought it was when a volcano is like completely sunk into the sand or some shit like that.
That's interesting. But like there's a documentary about this, and we had gone there to put a military base, and we were going to help out with supplying jobs to the civilians that were living there. Just normal everyday people. We went into their lives.
free.
They didn't ask for us. There was no like war. We were just doing military testing and offered jobs. But we ended up doing testing offshore. We didn't think that people would get sick, so we kept sending more missiles because we weren't sure. And so most of the people on that island got sick. Then we had to relocate them, promise them more jobs. Now they can't do anything without us, and it's just a broken system.
Completely dependent.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
That was to backpack off the Vietnam thing. That was a huge problem once we left Vietnam. All the American soldiers that had left, there was
Agent
so
Orange.
much of their
Agent Orange.
yeah, Agent Orange, all the Agent Orange.
What is that?
It was this.
Herbicide.
So it was an herbicide they were spraying to fuck with other people, but obviously it's just like it's gonna get everybody. Like
Yeah, it
everybody
literally
that
kills
kinda,
everything.
But so major people were coming back like really fucked up. But then when they would have kids, like their kids would have major deformation and
So what were you saying,
all
Garrett?
that.
Well, I was just saying, like, with the whole economy thing, like, after all the troops left Vietnam, Vietnam's economy, like, took a huge hit because they didn't have
it's trash.
all these people buying stuff, like, it's something as simple as, like, cigarettes. Like, they would open up little corner stores for these American soldiers, and then they're not there anymore. So there's nobody to buy all this stuff that they have. So, yeah,
who
no,
has
it's
enough money to buy their stuff. Like
yeah, exactly. So we definitely, I mean, it's tough because obviously we have this mantra of, like, we're going to help people out, but usually it doesn't
Dude, but
go
if you're
that
going
way.
to if you're going to Vietnam to be at war with Vietnam, why is Vietnam opening stores for you?
Well, it was because it was a civil war, so like the half
North
of
and South.
half of it was communist, and it was backed by China and Russia,
Damn, I didn't know
and then
that.
we were in the South, and we were promoting the democracy, quote
Gotcha.
unquote. But
Which
and
didn't
those-
exist.
and those
that
folks-
was the
yeah.
problem. That
those
they
folks
didn't have
got
a government in the
stomped,
South.
dude.
yeah,
They got stomped, dude.
yeah,
It's
no,
crazy how much.
A lot.
Yeah, they
Dude,
did.
communist dude just like, all right, get out of here. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They just ran
crazy.
out of money, dude.
Definitely,
Yeah.
but during wars, it's crazy how people make so much money. we make a shit ton of money off
Our
wars.
military's so big, dude. It's because that's how we get all our money. It's from
Dude,
military
the economy
contracts
does
and
boom
stuff
in
like
war.
that.
I didn't think about
Yeah,
that.
I mean
like a fact.
that's how we got
Yeah.
out of the Great Depression was World War II, and then
Yeah.
the government was like, "Oh, that's how we do that." Okay, so anytime we need help, we're just gonna go bomb
Like,
somebody.
let's do more of these.
Yeah, no, that's
create more
that's
war.
why we've literally been in war ever since then. But we're the world's police, you know. We're trying to like help everybody out, but really it's
That's like
yeah.
that's what makes it okay to people.
Yeah,
Is
exactly. That's how
we're
we
fighting for
justify it.
democracy, so
Yeah.
it's okay.
Dude.
Yeah, I think that's just how it's marketed though, because it's kind of just like if you get the people behind it, they're not going to question it. So
sure.
definitely, I think that's a part of the government, just like
That's the whole.
marketing.
That's the whole
idea.
conspiracy, though, to like
Yeah.
the
And by-
9/11 thing.
And by getting people behind it, it's by instilling fear in them and being like,
Yeah.
we're gonna get fucked up.
That's why
Yes.
people.
Like,
That's
sure.
the sole reason people think 9/11 was an inside job.
Fear and or terror, if you will.
Yeah.
But I like us just we're just going and not to switch it up or anything.
But yeah, vote Andrew Yang 2020.
Yeah, when you
But-
get back to UBI. But
Andrew Yang does suppose that people will invest in the economy, dreams they have, fucking painting lessons they didn't get to take, piano lessons, whatever, and they're going to the economy. Ben Shapiro posed them a really good question of, so the people receiving help, our government aid now already, like why aren't they doing that? Like now, but I thought that was a really good
But
question.
that's because they need it though.
Well, it's like a two-part thing, and the answer he gave to that question was, when you get government aid, you have to like show what you're spending it on for you to remain on it. And if when you spend it on things that they would deem unnecessary,
Like crack.
you a lot of times you get less government aid because they see you as frivolous. So that's the UBI is why, and you mentioned this earlier, the concern of people are going to use it on crack, use it on alcohol. That's why he doesn't do that, is so that people can actually spend it. It's not a government program, if you will.
Dude, but even if you are spending on crack, dude, that dealer's gotta. I mean, he's gonna put it in the economy.
Promoting
so-
small business, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly, dude.
But this, he's gonna put in the Louis Vuitton economy. Dude.
Yeah,
It's
I
one
mean
of
that
those-
dude might be fucked. He might be buying crack forever, but that dealer, dude, he's
Wow.
he's gonna be
There's
getting
so many-
his
Well,
guap.
you
dude.
you don't want to sell too much because then your customers are gonna die, and then you're just gonna start losing your clients.
that's
you know
very
what I mean?
true.
So you want to.
Tell me all about this
Yeah,
crack
but-
business that you know about.
I mean,
I've just watched a lot of movies and listened to a
We
lot
got
of
'em.
music about it.
Hey,
Open my crack company. Got too many customers. Sold too many crack, and now they're all dead.
Okay.
but I think I think
Garret song, dude.
people on crack though, they lose
Check
a
my
piece of their
SoundCloud.
mind
here we
though.
go, dude.
So I feel like a crack dealer would be like, okay, I know this person's getting $1,000 a month, but I know he's not all up here. Like he's gone.
Yeah, clearly.
So he'll be like, okay, I'll give you like $100 for some crack,
dude?
and he'll be like, no, see, that's not gonna work. I need more money, and he can just raise the price on that dude.
So, but
I got
dude,
better
more
stuff
out
this
of
time
it.
around.
But
just
think
for
about
less.
Financial
Yes.
natural selection, dude.
Supply and demand.
But think about it. With those people that you just targeted,
Yeah.
this really impoverished drug addict, they're getting money from the government already. They sign up for welfare and they're getting handed checks. So they're not, and UBI would replace their welfare essentially. So it's not like they have more money now to spend on crack. It's the same amount.
So let me ask you this about
Oh,
this
okay,
whole
okay, I get what
UBI
you're saying.
thing.
You're saying.
So, like, with what you're saying about the with welfare, how it's government monitored, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Would that money be government monitored, or would it
No,
literally
the
just
UBI
be spending
is
cash, do
handed to
whatever
you,
want?
and
No questions asked.
See,
Hold
that would be my main concern, is the government wanting to permanently track whatever you're doing with all your money, which I guess they kind of do already. But if they are giving you money, then they have an even more of a right
Yeah.
to do
That's
so.
why you should
know?
not
So
be with the bank. You should be with the credit union. I'm with a bank, but
I've heard that from a lot of people, that credit
Yeah.
unions will help you out with, just about anything you need. Whereas like a Chase is like, oh, well, you don't meet this criteria. Sorry, you're not getting that
Yeah.
business.
I get that concern. I think it's one of those things where they're gonna know what you're spending money on either way.
They're always listening.
But truthfully, the biggest support for me, for why I support Andrew Yang so much, is not the UBI. It's I cannot, not to get super divisive, but I'm not a fan of Donald Trump.
I mean,
Most people aren't.
yeah, I don't think that's too crazy of an opinion these days.
I didn't.
unpopular opinion.
I didn't.
Jacob, go ahead and
I didn't say
Yeah,
So-
unpopular opinion here. I don't like Trump.
I don't like Donald Trump, but I also firmly believe that like the progressive, like very socialistic mindset doesn't work. It's been pretty proven.
Oh, that's sick as hell on paper, I think.
It looks good, but you look at every country that's ever done it, and it just doesn't work.
For sure.
So I think more than me adamantly supporting a UBI, Andrew Yang is absolutely the best middle ground candidate in every other area of him. And
Gotcha.
so
I mean, I respect that he's actually come up with like a plan for something.
sure.
He's
That-
not just like
For
he's
sure.
just like, hey, we should. Everybody gets free college, dude. You don't have to pay for not a goddamn thing. We'll just. It's like, yeah, that's sick as hell,
Free
dude. But
college
how,
is a
dude?
crazy
I've
idea,
heard
dude.
too that Bernie's getting about a lot of backlash now for how much money he's been fucking wanting to like fund his campaign. It's like apparently it's all about the money with him now. That's what I've been hearing. But anyway,
This,
But
all
so,
those guys are crazy.
Mason, after hearing all that, what is your opinion on this?
I was actually
still?
about to bring this up again. So my next thing I want to bring up is how is the UBI? Okay, well, I got two things actually. The first one we didn't get to finish talking about it. Is how is it going to get funded? Because I did the math, and when
Okay.
yeah, so there is. Okay, like that. Can't talk. Like I said, there's 240 million adults, and you said some might not even qualify for this.
it's if they're on welfare already. So you would have to get everyone who's on welfare
Government
and
aid.
then subtract 1,000 from that, and then it's
Do you
well,
know
if they
how
want the
many
welfare,
of,
then
of any kind.
But how many people are on welfare?
a lot. I couldn't give you a number, unfortunately, but
I think that'd be something.
I have technology right now. dude.
Ooh, you just
But-
pulled out a.
Yeah, but I hate looking up stats like that because sometimes you'll find them and be like, well, that was last check in 2014. You know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
and so think all of them are essentially they're either welfare or UBI. So it's like you can't count them necessarily. Where's your charger, Joshua?
It's right there.
Matt. Can you
It's over there
grab
by
that?
Garrett's foot.
Oh yeah, that is closer to Garrett.
Write this timestamp down and I'll edit this out, Jacob.
Holy shit! About 21% of
what?
Americans
We can
receive
keep going. Fuck you mean?
some sort of means-tested government assistance, but it doesn't really say welfare.
Say that number again.
21%,
21% of Americans.
68 million.
I tried.
68 million people
that-
are on welfare.
It's that government like.
It says it receives some sort of means-tested government assistance, so it doesn't explicitly say welfare.
Yeah, but that could also be Medicare, Medicaid. That could be
But is that an exemption from the UBI?
the TRICARE, all that, the government assistance.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Well,
so
Does
those-
financial aid count as government assistance? I wonder.
Yeah.
Probably.
well, that kind of sucks.
No,
No.
because that's like
Well, that's like
Education.
education funding.
Yeah, it's
or
a
whatever.
loan
It's
or
different.
something.
It's a
yeah.
lot different.
Yeah. Okay.
most financial aid comes from private donations.
Okay. Well, should I just take like 30 million off then? I don't know. I'm gonna keep my number. So 240 million.
Oh,
people.
this man, dude, sleight
Sure.
of hand, dude.
Keep
right
keep the number. It's fine.
All right. Yeah. See, I don't care about you. I'm talking to Jacob. All right. So 240 million people. They're getting $1,000 a month,
Bet.
which is 12,000 a year. Which I think it was like 2.3 trillion. I'll look it up right now. 240 million.
So the number Andrew Yang gives, and I'm not to doubt your number, but the number he gives that he says it would require to fund it yearly would be 1.8 trillion.
1.8 trillion.
1.8 trillion.
I feel like because I said 2.3. I feel like we took away the exemptions. That would make sense.
So that sounds about right.
Yeah. And
1.8 trillion.
the Fortune 500 companies, these aren't even tech companies, these are all the companies. They make, if they were to get taxed, I was generous. I said 70%. If they were to get taxed that much per year, I think it came out to about 780 billion or something like that, like 800 billion. So we're still short, like by less
So-
than half.
His plan is critical upon one other policy he wants to implement, and it's the actual name of it is escaping me right now, but it's essentially a sales tax that doesn't get pissed away like our sales tax does right now. It's a sales tax that money essentially gets pushed like your
Isn't it
income
like
tax.
VAT or something like that?
Yeah, it is called VAT, and value after tax.
Yeah, there you go.
And so, like when you go to the store and something says $20, it costs $20. So those
I like
companies, when you're buying their products, those companies are doing the taxes, and then that money goes to the government as well. That's what most countries do, instead of just taking a shit ton out of your paycheck.
But
Yeah, it's the
but also you
still have to tax labor, so I feel like it should still come out of your paycheck.
So it's basically most countries have much lower income taxes than we do, but they have a value added tax.
Okay. So my second,
So his plan is all centered around you give people money, they go buy stuff. That money goes to the government because you get taxed from buying stuff now.
okay. Okay, I guess it makes sense. My second question being, how is this not an increase? I told Matt this. How is this not a fixed increase on the poverty line? So like if poverty is this low and everyone gets the same amount of money, why would poverty not increase by $1,000? The poverty line.
So the plan,
Because
from his perspective, would be that when you push back into the economy, it opens up a bunch of the lower end jobs, and then that opens up more mid end jobs, and then people who couldn't afford college now can afford to go to, say, community college. And so people who could have never had the opportunity to get an education now can.
So it all hinges upon these people basically creating jobs.
Right.
And
Because
creating new businesses.
Because think about it.
I don't like that term, creating jobs. What does that mean?
Because
Exactly?
so the economy is driven off spending money, right? The economy is centered around people putting money in banks, buying cars, buying groceries, fixing their car, buying gas. Everything, it's spend money. When you spend money, it generates money. And so when you have a lot of people who can't do that at all, they can't go to the store and buy more than a little bit of groceries just to get by. Some people can't. That obviously exists. But generally speaking, like, the poverty in America is people can only buy very little. They can't fix their car or can't even buy a car. They have little to no money in a bank. So they're not pushing back into the economy. So when you do that, people are starting to go to the grocery store. They're going to gas stations. They're getting their car fixed up, things like that. Now these companies are like, oh, shit, there's X amount more traffic. That's X amount more employees.
But my question here is, if a lot of people have more money now, then demand's going to increase because people would not have money.
It's not more money. It's a little. $1,000, dude, is like kind of shit, dude.
Yeah.
$1,000. That's not.
$1,000 a month is not a lot of money.
That's not. No.
It depends. Definitely
Not to
depends.
me.
Yeah, I think it impacts people differently. Obviously, I mean, if someone is lower income, then that $1,000, I mean, that makes
because I believe the poverty line,
and
is
this
like,
is kind of who this is for a little bit. Like for me, if I got an extra 1,000, like dude, like woo, like that's an extra little breathing room. Like,
yeah, but
I'm not wilding out.
Maybe
I'm
that
not
does help
bottle
somebody
popping.
get their car, though. Like I mean, $1,000 a month for
$1,000 a month, $12,000 a year is a lot of money. I don't care what you say, man. I don't know what cloud you're on, dude, but that's a lot of money.
Okay, but you gotta look at it like this. He owns a house. Me and you don't have a house. I still live I have my own apartment, but it's funded by the education system.
Okay.
So, $1,000 to me is a lot of money.
Right.
I don't have a job.
But in the grand spectrum, is that a lot of money?
In the grand spectrum, no, because like I'm going to have to get a job eventually. But see that the value of $1,000 goes down when you start moving up the ladder.
And I think that's such a big thing for the UBIs is people talk about, like you mentioned at the very beginning, like I wouldn't even fucking work if I had $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
But when you think it's not.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't,
it's
because
not.
the poverty line's $17,000 a year. If you make under $17,000 a year, you are considered under the poverty line, deemed by the American government.
Okay.
So you're $5,000 removed from the poverty line at $12,000. So it's not like a living wage where you now go from I earn $0 a year to now I can live in a house and buy a car. It's an addition and a motivation, and it gives you the ability to get a job, to get this, to get that, and then that just stimulates the economy.
Well, yeah, I get that, but the point is that people are getting $1,000 a month now, so it's creating a higher demand for things, whether it be like something big or even groceries.
Yeah.
So there's more demand now, and which means that supply is going to be decreasing. So what makes you think companies are not going to increase their prices on things since there's more demand?
That's one of the in my opinion, the strongest arguments against the UBI.
That's what I'm saying.
Is the price of things will just increase.
Yeah, it's inflation is what it is. People,
same thing happens if you raise minimum wage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, exactly.
It really just kind of just all moves together. You
yeah,
know?
so I'm saying if minimum wage becomes $15 an hour, then the poverty line is going to increase by whatever the relative percentage increase of going from a 7.25 to 15.
So and that's one that I struggle to have like a clear, like, this is the answer to that.
Yeah.
The only way that exact situation would play out, like you said, would be if every company that profits off America had a meeting, and they all had a pact that they would raise their prices simultaneously and cohesively. Because if you think about it, you know, say Target and Trader Joe's raise their prices in America because people are making money, but Walmart and Kroger don't. Target and Trader Joe's are just not. They're going to lose revenue. People are going to stop shopping there.
You think so?
It's competition that is what capitalism like relies on.
But the perceived value of Target, you're getting the same exact thing at Target than you are at Walmart.
Sure,
But
Why would I
people-
go to Target?
Because people perceive Target as just a better place.
Well, now
and
That's
so
why
you're
people
not
buy
gonna-
Apple products.
It's not going to be like it's
You're
not going to
buying
be
the same
100.
thing as an Android, but you perceive it as a fucking phenomenal and creative.
Sure,
brand.
it's not going to be 100% flip. But if you think about it, so now Target is getting the upper class economy. They're getting that, and then all the lower class people would just go to Walmart still.
Right.
They didn't raise their prices, and so that competition of if you raise your prices, you're just eliminating a demographic from shopping from you is the counter to that.
But here's the thing too. So say Target does raise its prices, and people start going to Target. They all start going to Walmart. Now there's more demand in Walmart,
Right.
less supply, so they're gonna have to increase prices too inevitably. They can't just keep prices low if everyone in the world decides to shop at Walmart
See,
now.
I think
But
you're
it's-
concerned
it's not
about
up to Walmart, I don't
sustainability, Mason, and that might be a totally different topic. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like, I mean, there's definitely a finite amount of goods that can be purchased, and you're definitely right about that. But I think that's just a different conversation completely that you would want to have about, well, maybe there's just too many people for this to work. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to run out of product, essentially what you're saying is the supply line gets cut off
Yeah, but
somehow.
that's not Walmart. That's Crisco. That's Heinz. Those are those things.
And I mean, if there is such a demand for it and they're lacking on supplies, then the market just chooses to go somewhere else and find a different product that can replace whatever it is that isn't getting made or produced fast enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it'd be like,
yeah.
I mean, you could think of it like if grain takes X amount of days and then rice is less. And, oh, well, now we've got a super grains shortage because everybody's buying up all this bread and stuff. Well, then instead of that, people are just going to start eating more rice. I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that's how
Generally,
I would see that.
I mean, that's essentially the basis of the first industrial revolution in America was like home produced goods cost this much money, and like the processed, you know, the Model T is the perfect example of like they made a car on an assembly line. It wasn't as nice as the other cars, but it was a quarter of the price. It became the best selling car in America at the time. It was just so when you appeal to the mass public, you're going to sell, and
That
that's
shit was trash
So
too,
do you think since supply since a company's going out of business now because there's an efficient thing, do you think the people who are losing their jobs here are just going to be easily able to go help? Say the grain farmers lost their jobs, are they just going to become rice farmers now?
Are they losing jobs?
Because no one's buying grain anymore because it's too expensive.
It's not anymore. They just need to grow more. They just need
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'm confused on what you're saying now.
It's
because,
not. We
like-
don't extinct grain because people aren't. It's gone. It's not gone. It's just not here right now.
I know, but it's not here right now because the prices are too high. So no one's going to be buying grain. Therefore, the farmers have nothing to do because no one's buying their product anyway. So why would you make more of your product if no one's buying the initial product? So they're not working.
Well, yeah, then
So are they going to become?
a
Are
new
they
job.
Yeah.
So
So,
the-
are
so
they
the-
just going
okay,
to
okay.
become rice farmers now?
I'm struggling to figure out why grain is high and why people are not.
Because in Garrett's hypothetical, grain's price
I was
is too
saying
high.
grain. I wasn't saying grain price is too high. I'm saying grain. I thought you
out.
were saying supply runs low.
Grain's out of stock, right?
Yeah, grain's out of stock.
Yeah, no,
So
supply
it's-
runs low, so they increase price.
well,
Which
when
is
the
true,
the hope would be that supply runs low, and so you just increase supply. You make more of it. You hire more people. You build another factory. You get it to where you can make
So
more.
how are you going to pay these more people then? If you have
If
you're
pe-
charging
if-
the same price,
if-
how are you going to pay these more people you have to make
Well,
all
as-
this more grain?
as
You-
as demand goes up, price goes down.
I know, but since demand's going up though, supply is going low too though.
But you can
So
always
you
make
just
more.
you match supply with demand.
So
You just make more.
Okay, but you also got to think about it like this. These farmers are also not just farming one thing. Most of them are just farming one thing.
true.
It's multiple different things that are on this farm that they are sending out to stores. So, and also aside from just like dealing with the grocery section, our normal everyday wear, clothes, technology, it's lasting longer. So demand's going to be interesting in the next like 5 to 10 years.
It's pretty subjective at times.
It's going to be interesting.
I think.
Go ahead.
I mean, well, one of the things that would kind of concern me in that kind of situation is, I mean, you can look at like what appliance manufacturers do to their stuff. I mean, really, a lot of companies do this to things that they build. They kind of design it to break down.
To break so you upgrade.
So you, like, especially with cars, it's a huge thing to get the aftermarket car industry and sustain it, right? Because like these dealerships, they'll sell a car, but that's not all their profit. It's people coming back and getting work done on their cars and stuff like that. So if they make things better, then they last longer. But does that in turn actually cut a piece out of the economy? And I've always wondered that, because we do have a huge,
that's a good question.
We do have a
That's a great
huge
question.
thing with, you know, like for instance, Apple with, you know, your phone, if now they're waterproof, right?
Right.
Before it was like, oh, you know, if it gets wet, you just got to replace it. Now they had the technology to make them waterproof for a really long time. They just didn't do
Because
it
things have been waterproof. So.
Yeah, they were like, oh, well, yeah, if you break it, you're just gonna have to buy a new one. Sorry. Or you can have this insurance plan, and then that creates this whole other like
So
Right.
pocket in the economy.
you get into the competition of the phone industries. Like, so now they were like, Samsung, I think, was the first one to be waterproof.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And everyone's like, got to step it up now. So
Yeah.
And now all these phones are running into issues because they're not breaking down. They're pretty durable.
Exactly.
I think Apple started backtracking because my favorite iPhone was the iPhone 7 Plus. That motherfucker was indestructible. It was made out of metal and Gorilla Glass. Like,
yeah.
and it had everything it needed to like last a really long time. It's a good phone. And then you notice he started having performance issues because Apple, they were in the system.
Got
So every
nervous.
time a new update came out, he just went down. So it's interesting to see what's happening now, because now phones are $1,000. This is $1,000 phone. Yours, his, $1,000. That's insane. And I thought it was insane until I think about it like this. We're not going to have to get a new phone for a really long time.
For sure.
And people are smart enough to see, like, if they try to hustle us and say, like, oh, here's a new update. Hold on. You said in this update that you were taking something away. We can sue them. So they're not going to mess with us that much. Well, they'll try.
They'll definitely try.
So it's getting interesting on how that affects the world now. So I see that $1,000 price tag and say, okay, I get it. Because if I get that thing, I expect to have it for at least 6 years.
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, but then their sales are going to start dropping if they're not going to be
Right.
released. And that's kind
Which
of
Apple's
a whole
has.
problem with our economy and just society in general, is this like yearly reproducing of something that we already have. You know
Right.
what
Yeah,
I mean?
Apple's
Like,
making a credit
the-
card right now.
Well,
they're
and,
trying.
but
They're
see,
doing-
that's a good move on their part to like
It's
kind
very
of
good.
tap into something else.
they-
Yeah, they're
they
just
invented it, though.
diversifying, though. They're doing Apple Music now. I know.
Which they're trying to push out Spotify.
They're trying
which
to.
is
They're
fucked up.
making like the Hulu replacement, the
Hulu,
streaming
yeah.
service.
Yeah, you can. That's where a lot
Disney
of like
streaming service too.
Disney. Yeah, dude. Let's talk about Disney. No, we don't talk about
Yeah.
Disney. But dude, Disney is like. I feel like Disney's
Disney's
becoming a
making some
very
moves.
fierce predator, dude. Yeah,
I
Dude,
think
you
some
want to talk
bad-
about dystopia, man. Disney's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disney's right there.
dude,
pushing
Disney
for it,
has
dude.
it all, dude. They have
Yeah.
ESPN.
They
They
literally own media. Like they just
Yeah,
own
they have Fox.
all the
Yeah,
Fox
not
and ESPN.
not all Fox. I think it's like
They own Fox Sports, which
Fox
I think is
Sports.
funny.
No, is
that-
it sports?
Yeah, because
They do.
Really?
they own like competing sports broadcasting.
It's
That's awesome.
It's
Jesus.
hilarious to me. They don't own it. They own stock in it though.
Is it Fox?
Depending on how much stock you practically own
it's
it.
honestly kind of crazy how America got so far away from this anti-monopoly bit. Like we used to be
Exactly.
so like against monopolies, and now it's like we just readily
Because Disney's a
accept it.
monopoly.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
Amazon's a monopoly. Apple's a monopoly.
Yeah.
Like if you go back to the more original definition of monopoly, but kind of to somewhat encapsulate what we talked about is people. You know, when I support Andrew Yang, they're like, I don't think this would work. You know, because this, and this, and maybe it's fair, but I kind of always want to say to them like, but what we're doing now is not working.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's
You know-
that's
you know,
such a great point. Like,
So if what we're doing now is not working, and you believe that this won't work for X number of reasons, then where do we go? You
Yeah.
know, because this is the first time I've heard a candidate come on with anything that resembles a good idea.
at least a
because-
plan.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean. Like
Right,
he has
because
something.
not
that
a
he wants
promise,
to
You have
plan.
do.
Beto, who has no plans. He just
Oh my
he
God.
just speaks words. He has zero policy.
Dude,
And
He skateboards though,
Dude.
bro. He skateboards, and he likes Whataburger.
that's what Hitler used to do, though. Hitler would go up there with close to zero plan,
Yep.
and then be like, dude.
Oh yeah,
Charisma.
he just
He
get the
gotta-
boys going.
gotta
Nah,
look
he
skateboard
just
fire
would say
charisma.
some shit and be like, "Oh, y'all like that?"
We'll make Germany great again. Build the military, and people are like, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that
you
sounds
gotta,
cool.
you gotta also think about Germany was really fucked up at the time.
It was horrible.
Oh
Very-
yeah,
it's
dude.
very-
You couldn't buy
bad.
it like I know it's kind of a classic
It was
thing. Like
literally divided.
you'd come with like a wheelbarrow full of like German money. I don't know
Oh,
what that's
yeah.
actually called, and it wouldn't be enough for a loaf
Franc,
of bread.
dude?
That's
Is it
a
a
hot
Frank?
dog, dude.
I think Frank
That's
is.
traded
I
with
think
hot
Franks are
dogs.
French.
Wiener Schnitzel.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, by the way, Jacob.
Yes, sir.
Disney owns 21st Century Fox, not Fox Sports.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that's Marvel.
21st,
That's
yeah.
that. I mean, that's like the biggest movie franchise, and maybe ever.
I mean, I've been
you
seeing
know
it
what I
since
mean?
I was a
Like,
kid.
Yeah, like they've superseded so many other like great. I mean, I don't know. What do you think's more popular these days, Avengers or Harry Potter when it was at its peak? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like Disney owns
Well, that's
that
a good
now.
question.
So it is
actually.
safe to say that Disney is having a very firm grasp on the entertainment industry.
Fuck
Right.
Disney, dude.
Now, if we were to follow through with this whole Disney forming a dystopian society, what would be their next move? Is it sports?
Well, right now
What-
they're
what
they're
happened to
pushing out
Viacom?
Netflix. I'm sorry, what?
What happened to Viacom? Viacom was an overall company that owned like a lot of media
I think
shit.
they're still there.
I think they're
Yeah.
They do like news stuff though. I'm pretty sure.
I think they
right?
should go into gaming.
Do you think so?
Disney games. I
Disney?
mean, Kingdom
Okay.
Kingdom Hearts is kind of there, but yeah, they don't.
Like say
they
they
don't like
take
own
over
a-
like
just
what
trash.
Microsoft is. If they took over like the Microsoft depart or the gaming department at Microsoft rather.
I'm trying to buy that Soldier Boy console.
Oh my god,
What?
that shit's
What?
awful. You haven't seen it?
Oh no, that sounds
It's-
awesome.
Soulja Boy came out with a
Soulja
whole
Boy
line of
sound-
gadgets.
Does he still sell them? Because I know
he
he got
does.
sued off his
Garrett,
ass
He
for
does,
it.
he does.
It looks just like the Xbox.
He copyrighted basically like infringed. He copyright infringed basically on. So his Soldier Boy console was just loaded with Nintendo games basically.
So stupid.
Incredible.
And
Gotta love the hustle, man.
He
Gotta love
he
the
took a
hustle.
product that was selling from Chinese manufacturers. Like you could buy it off the internet
Yeah.
for like $50. He just took the exact same thing, called it Soulja Boy, whatever, and sold it for like $300.
Yeah. No, he's got like the console, he has headphones, speakers. There's
Diversity, dude. You gotta diversify your
Yeah.
portfolio,
Diversified.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Imagine what Soulja Boy could do with the $1,000 a month.
Oh no.
So I'm saying.
I don't. Would he qualify? Does he qualify?
Who knows, dude?
He doesn't get government aid.
21
I'm sure.
Savage, wouldn't it?
You want to talk about spending crazy? Oh man,
That's a little
421,
How?
dude.
421.
How the? No,
420.
Explain yourself right now. How is that a low blow? Explain yourself.
He got booted out of the
Yeah,
country,
got
man.
booted out.
How's that a low blow?
To him,
Damn,
How?
Matt's
he just
pissed.
got booted. You can't get no
No,
more.
you can't just sympathize with 21 Savage and it's a low blow. How? Explain
What you
yourself.
mean how?
Because you're just saying stuff, dude. At this point, Beto, dude, you're just saying stuff.
I didn't say anything about Beto.
Earlier, somebody said
Yeah.
Beto's just saying stuff.
think
I didn't
we all
say
kinda-
that.
Someone said that.
He's saying
What
that
kinda
you
came
are
to-
doing the same
Oh,
thing.
I
as
said,
Beto.
You're just saying-
okay.
you're just saying
I thought you
words.
said I brought up Beto. I was like, I didn't talk
You're
about
getting
that.
up on
Okay.
bar tops and just waving your hands everywhere, like we're gonna make America great again.
Hey, let me run this. Let me run this marathon to El Paso real quick.
Forrest Gump in it.
Well, that's cool, Jacob.
Just started
Thanks for
running.
this discussion
Absolutely.
about Andrew
It was
Yang.
great stuff.
I mean, obviously I support him, so if I can get other people to support him as
Because
well, I
I've
feel
been,
like
I've been
I'm-
thinking about my presidential
my duty.
candidates.
Right.
And on the Republican side, we have Trump.
and that's good. That's gonna be it. No
That
one's
dude,
gonna run
that
this
dude's
country.
hard though, dude.
He really is a fierce competitor.
It's hard.
This is a tough one.
In reality,
Trump
he's
boss.
probably gonna win.
And we have
He has a good chance of making a second term.
we
which
have
is scary.
Bernie, which I don't really know much about him, to be honest. But he's
Who?
Bernie.
Oh,
That motherfucker's old as piss, dude. I'm not trying to fucking have
bro, that's my
He
thing
had a
with
face
all
of my
these
country
guys.
being
They're
this guy
all
knows.
Probably
so
still got
old.
stitches from fucking slipping in the shower, dude.
I'm not trying to face
Donald
my
Trump's
country
old
be
as
this.
piss too, dude.
He is. He's like 70 something. But
He's
I'm not.
still-
That's,
He's
and
almost
I don't
lambing
know how
the
as
line, though.
Americans. I mean, I guess obviously we're not. You know, there's older people than us, but like, dude, there's how do we just have these super old dudes? Like, I get it. Okay, you want someone experienced who's like dealt with the world, but like, get someone in there that's like 50. You know, like
But-
70s, bro. Think about like
When I was in
anyone you've met
business-
who's 70. They are off their rocker, man.
Dude,
Like,
I hope
it
he's
is-
not driving.
Why do you-
Like, that's what I'm saying. When they're running the country, like, oh, okay, oh, that's
Oh my
fine.
God.
And that was another thing people brought up. Where they're like, "Well, Donald Trump, he'll come around." It's like, no, this motherfucker's 78, dude. Like he's
not changing his
setting his way.
Anybody, man. Yeah.
But so, and I wasn't old enough to really experience the political aspect of having Barack Obama in office. But being that my age, I was like, damn, we got this like young ass like good-looking black guy, dude.
Yeah, he's
like,
58.
He's a smooth-ass talker. He's so, man, the way he talks to the American people, man, I just wanted to...
Oh, it's smooth as fuck.
I wanted to,
Yeah,
I just wanted to unzip my pants, dude. And, like, so I think it'd be cool to have another young... Another young Asian man, dude.
Exactly, dude. His parents are immigrants. He defines what America was built on, dude.
Yeah, dude. We need
Without
Asian
like
people
the racism
But
and stuff like that.
this was
Without the servants.
This is what I meant to
Yeah,
ask. Okay. So anyway, yeah.
Oh my god.
All right. So anyway,
Good.
Freaking Josh.
what I meant to ask you earlier before you had your extra questions that you had, how do you feel about the whole thing now?
about the UBI.
Yeah.
So I'm still set on. It's gonna be hard to convert me here because I still am set on the whole price thing because we honestly just brushed past it. It didn't get addressed. I still think that having a UBI is just gonna cause inflation. Cause the prices to rise. So I think in the end, until I fucking meet an economist who can talk me out of this, I think in the end it's still just gonna be like a fixed increase.
Okay, so
things.
let me ask a question now because I might have some misunderstanding about inflation.
Okay.
If there's more money in the economy, that causes inflation, no?
Yes. If there's more.
But so what about when people think about inflation, they think about producing more money? What's the difference between now you're producing more money?
So
about
you print
purchasing
more
power.
and you're lowering the value of a single dollar bill.
Is that not inflation? Is that not
That's the definition of inflation.
Okay,
lowering
so
the value of a dollar bill.
But so you don't print more money.
Yeah, essentially, the way I understand it is you're just redistributing. It's literally like a Robin Hood effect. Like the money's
Right.
already there. You're
So
just
that's-
taking it from people who don't necessarily need it and giving
so
it
it's
to everybody.
so what is inflation? I'm not saying make more money put in the economy.
think
I'm
Mason's
saying
point-
if there's more in the economy, is that
If it's a
No.
blanket statement, like every adult gets it, I think that's where you might run into inflation because now everybody has $1,000 more. You know
which
what I
means
mean?
Nobody has $1,000.
Exactly. Like if we've all got it, then does anybody
So it's
really
just-
have it?
Yeah.
So I think that's his point. I like the idea. I just think it would maybe. I'm a big fan of states deciding stuff. Like, okay, maybe Texas. We're the Wild West. We make your own way here. Like, we're not going to give you money. That's cool. But
super Republican.
The Johnson.
yeah, but then like maybe you go to like Iowa, and I mean they already kind of do this whole thing with like subsidies and stuff like that for farmers. But like with the whole farm thing, like maybe they get more money because they don't get a direct. They're not as corporatized. They don't have the big salaries and all that kind of stuff.
There's no markup there. There's farmers. You're not selling your crops for fucking $5 an organic tomato. Dude. You're selling them for like 10 cents to a distributor, and they're selling it to Walmart, and Walmart's selling them for $5.
But see, then in that case,
Target
like
or whoever.
those people could use it to develop their economy more. They could have more excess spending. They could have like a square in their town where they just got a bunch of restaurants and stuff. Just like quality of life, I think would go up.
Perhaps brick roads instead of dirt, dude. That'd be cool.
I'd say
So
I would say
it would affect people across the country differently, of course.
I would say look up like Alaska's economy because he mentioned earlier Alaska's had a UBI since like 57, I think, if I remember correctly, and they tax the oil industry for their UBI, and there has been pretty limited changes to their economy.
But it's not a lot though.
But they get significantly less, so it's a little bit hard to compare. But they have no inflation issues in Alaska. Things don't cost more in Alaska.
And see, that's like a good point for like the whole states thing is like Alaska's so oil heavy. And I mean, that's like the whole reason like there is anything up there is because of the oil. So it's like,
Are you sure it's not more expensive in Alaska?
I mean, I guess it certainly depends.
I think because I'm
thinking.
thinking of myself as like I'm like a business. I'm selling.
There's
selling
also
these
not
phones.
that many people in Alaska.
The economic engine in Alaska is zero because it's like a frozen tundra and like 90% of the
yeah, it's
the
literally
Yeah.
just like fishing and oil. And
'Cause
then
it-
fishing doesn't make you
like,
a lot of money. So
If
not
I wanted,
typically anyways.
if I wanted to sell to Alaska, and say I'm stationed in Texas, obviously I don't want to fucking drive because I have to go through Canada and there's customs and fees and everything for that. So I probably have to fly, which is not probably any more expensive. Probably just as expensive because you're having to like fly your shit over.
Here in
So
Alaska,
it's gonna cost me more to fly my goods over to Alaska than it is to get them to Washington. So
Sure.
I think I would probably charge more for people.
So, and that's a very, I mean, that may be true, but it's also has nothing to do with like the UBI kind of thing, if that makes sense. Like I'm saying,
that's a you and your company thing.
like I'm saying that may be a byproduct of Alaska literally not being connected to the United States, but that's not. And I don't know if you meant it as like an argument to the UBI.
Would
but
you need a UBI? Because I'm just thinking shit's gonna cost more in Alaska because it's gonna cost more to get it there. So it would make sense to have a UBI. That way people could afford that stuff.
Sure, yeah.
But they already get one.
Huh?
They already get one.
Yeah, I know. So that's why
it makes sense to have
it makes sense to have it. Yeah, because shit costs more. So why?
Everything costs more every day that goes by here. Now, cost of living goes up every year. Prices of groceries and not really gas anymore, but for a long time, gas was going up every year.
Do you think?
Yeah,
that
but when
would,
you talk
Education gets more expensive.
I would say
every year.
when you talk about prices going up, are you saying that milk is $3.50 and is now $8? Is that what you mean, or are you saying milk is $3.50 now it's $3.75?
It's all gonna be relative. Yeah,
Now it's
like
$4.
$3.75. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't give a fuck about that, dude. I give a fuck if it's $8.
And so I think
Well, I know, but it's a little. It adds
I think
up.
the economist
Give a fuck.
answer to the UBI just makes inflation
They
is
got $1,000.
is the proportion of the increase of cost of goods is not equivalent to the increase in your monthly increase by getting $1,000. So say inflation happens and now you spend $350 extra a month because things are more expensive, but you still have $650 extra that was given to you because of the UBI. So those numbers obviously wouldn't be exact, but that's the economist that believes in a UBI. There's a lot of economists that don't think it would never work, but there are a lot that believe wholeheartedly Elon Musk is not an economist, but Elon Musk has said before Andrew Yang's presidency that UBI will become a necessity in America in pretty near future.
Yeah, something.
But he
has
said
to
that
happen.
because
Musk
of
is
technology.
Because of the
evolving.
takeover of tech, which is happening. It's gonna happen, one way or the other. So maybe milk costs $4 now instead of $2.50, but
Yeah. So I do have a lot of doubts, dude. However, I really don't see any other candidate being worthy. So I'm down to give it a shot. And obviously, I don't think I'm going to see results in the 4 years he's president.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long run type of thing.
and that's the big thing for me is like, even if the UBI doesn't pass, I agree with almost everything else he agrees with.
Yeah.
So it's like I still would support it.
Yeah, I would have to look into what else he talks about because I'm not going to let the UBI define him.
They've been asking him pretty much only about that.
It's only and it frustrates me.
I don't know anything else.
That
really.
it's
I mean, that's a
only-
big point
because
so they wanna know.
he believes in like a structured gun control, which I've proposed for a long time. Is essentially you have to get a background check, and then like someone has to make sure you're there to get like the base level of guns, and then that opens up a certain selection of guns that you're allowed to legally own and possess and carry, and then there's like another test you can take, which is more of like a hands-on that proves you're more capable to own the gun, and it's like an instructor, and then now you get the rest opened up to you.
Yeah.
And I've suggested that for a long time that would benefit a lot of people and keep the guns out of the hands of people who do not need them.
When can I get rocket launchers?
Yeah.
How many flight
RPG.
hours do I need?
What
Facts.
I'm concerned about,
That's
dude,
test 7.
That's seven.
what I'm concerned about right now, and I think it's just because it's still way too early.
Yeah,
is
it's
how,
very early.
how many fucking candidates there are right now?
On the
And-
Democratic side, that's a
'Cause,
bad thing.
yes,
for,
dude, it really is a bad thing.
And
There's so
it'll
much-
get whittled down instantly because you have to. So to get brought to a debate by any of the major news companies or whatever, you have to have like it's a certain number of like donors and donated money, and you have to be polling a certain amount in early polls in those states to even get in a debate. And I think they host like a max 15. Don't quote me on that, but it's a number around there. And so everyone who's not polling that, they're gone instantly.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Republican candidates when Trump was running.
Yeah.
Too. There was a lot.
I never realized there was 12 people who ran with Trump in the beginning.
Yeah.
And they were all ridiculous.
Herman
That's the
Cain,
problem, dude. They were
Yeah.
all the bunch of just goobers, man. Like,
Herman Cain still has my favorite ad of all time.
What is it?
I don't think he ran with Donald Trump. I think it was years prior, but still. Oh, it was the "Thank you for smoking." That's the best shit I've ever seen in my life.
Thank you for smoking.
Yeah.
What it?
Oh, dude, I'll just have to.
It's hilarious.
Oh, it's the best ad I've ever seen.
yeah.
Oh,
Honest,
so also I wanted to. While I find that, y'all can talk about whatever the fuck. But I also wanted to talk about something. How much time do we have, Jacob?
We're at an hour 5.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
what the
yeah.
Jesus.
fuck, dude?
That
I
was
didn't look
so
at
fast.
much
It
trouble.
went fast as fuck.
Okay, well, we should wrap it up.
Well,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
Game of
dun,
Thrones
dun.
is
Never
tonight.
mind.
Yeah, you
Oh,
guys.
Game of Thrones is the
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up then.
For next week.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, my final thought is, man, watch out for these tech companies because they're coming. I think Netflix is about to get
do,
some.
Josh? What am I
some
supposed
heat.
to do? Watch out.
Duck.
Pay attention, you know.
are.
You watch the TV or some shit.
Bro, you gotta tap into the Matrix, bro.
Tap into something. I don't know.
The tech companies got me then. If I tap in.
They got your mind. But no, but like I'm just watching like these TV companies now. They're just trying to go to streaming. Netflix is getting really fucked over, getting a lot of shit pulled. So it's interesting to see what happens there. But no, I don't know. Just be aware.
You'll be able to
Be
find the
aware,
Punisher, dude, on Disney streaming sites.
shit. Which
Don't worry, Josh.
pretty lit. Go watch the Punisher.
Luke Cage too. I'll be there.
Whoa,
Sure.
whoa!
trash,
Why you got pointing out Luke Cage, huh?
You like
Because he's the
Luke
black one. Because I like
what
Luke
kind
Cage.
of final
No,
thoughts you
because
got?
they didn't get taken.
For me?
I'm messing
Yeah.
with you. I'm messing
Let's
with you.
see. My final thought, honestly, to anybody who's listening, we've talked a lot about your presidential candidates and stuff like that, but it starts local. It starts at the
Facts.
grassroots. Like,
Ooh.
research your people in your city council and stuff like that, because that's what's really important. That's where you're at. Obviously, America is the overarching theme, but really, it starts at home. If you want to make big changes,
Cool.
do it in your own backyard.
That was cool, Garrett. Thanks. Yeah, that was actually
Good
pretty
shit.
cool.
Garrett's
local.
from Canada, though. He
Eat
ended
local.
with dude.
Yeah. Oh. Hey.
So for those listening, we have gotten very political today, and there may have been moments in this podcast where you're like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?" And you're like, you disagree heavily? Email us. Do we have an email?
No, we don't have.
Tweet
any.
us, dude.
Tweet
Yes,
us.
yes, we have an email.
I'm
We,
all-
yeah, we
yeah.
do have any because we use it for something
yeah, we
login,
do,
right?
we do.
Literally
Thoughts.
everything. YouTube.
Yeah. What's our email? Do you guys
Anyway,
know?
dude, fucking hit it on the social medias. How about that?
Yeah, social media.
Yeah,
Tweet
slide
us,
in our-
dude. I'll
slide in our
fucking go
DMs
in.
at bottom OTC.
Throw some Andrew Yang slander
Let us
at
know
me.
if you guys have any fucking doubts or disagreements, because it'd be cool. We're not gonna get mad at you. We're not gonna
Or
call you an
sources.
idiot.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
yeah, we're all
it's-
pretty level-headed here.
Yeah.
But also
yeah, we're
DM
idiots
if
too.
you want to keep it personal too. Also DM just general shit too. Like tell me you ate a grilled cheese sandwich. Dude.
No, just
Um,
Yeah.
questions too. Ask us questions.
yeah, questions. Josh figured out that was called a Q&A today.
Fucking asshole. Oh yeah, I did my own little show Q&A and some shit today. That'll be up soon.
Dude, don't forget, dude. We got the YouTube going now. So
Going.
check
Oh,
out the
yeah,
YouTube. We're getting a lot of listens really from the streaming sites, which we appreciate. But
Doing very well.
YouTube, I mean, you could sit in basically, act like feel like you're sitting in, being a part. So
Right on.
Oh yeah,
Do that, dude.
last little disclaimer. I know that Spotify, iHeartRadio aren't quite working right with the rest of the shit, but I'm fixing it. It'll be up soon. It'll be up to date. Couple technical issues, but it'll be done soon.
Is that a disclaimer or is that just some information for us?
Information. It was for everyone. For everyone.
So this has been Bottom of the Class Podcast. Garrett, thank you for joining us. It
Hey,
was fun.
thank you guys for having me. It's been
Yeah.
a blast. Like, it's been really cool.
Cool, man.
I've always wanted to get on here with you guys. So
Yeah,
it's
we'd love to
nice
have you
finally
back.
do it.
It's a
Yeah.
good one.
Anytime, man.
yeah.
Well, we'll see you
I
guys
would-
next week.
Wouldn't necessarily say maybe high running the guesties, but
We'll see you next week.
Vote for Andrew Yang.
I don't understand why every fucking person is so bad to each other, so fucking awesome. It doesn't make sense